So I've had a really busy weekend. My kids were in a soccer tournament. We had 10 soccer games. And so we come home, everyone's hungry, and I need a nutrient packed meal that is easy to make and is done really quickly. So tonight we are making steak tips on a sheet pan with a second sheet pan with some roasted veggies, and we're gonna elevate it a little bit with some awesome char breadcrumbs that we're gonna toast up with some garlic butter and some lemon zest. So we're gonna sprinkle those all over the top of the veggies, and it's gonna be absolutely delicious. So this is super simple. So in my glass bowl here, I have, these are just steak tips. They were plain steak tips. I put a little bit of oil on them. This is a garlic oil that's infused with herbs. I'm gonna make sure I shake this up. So I'm a really big fan of basting oils, and you can see in the bottom here, there's lots of different herbs, and that's what gives flavor to our food. We always, think of with the gluten-free diet, plain, but that's the opposite of what the gluten-free diet needs to be. It can be packed with flavor, and this is one of the ways to get that flavor. So this is a garlic oil. It has rosemary and basil in it, and so I'm just gonna put that on top of my steak. I'm also going to season it with some garlic salt. Since I was a little kid, my grandma, my mom always used tons of garlic salt in the kitchen. And so that's my favorite thing to use on my proteins and on my veggies. So now we're just going to make sure we get it all evenly coated. And we're going to let this sit just for a minute while I get my veggies prepared, and then we'll put it onto the sheet pan. So now the veggies are super easy. My kids love mushrooms, so I'm gonna do mushrooms and asparagus. All I did to these mushrooms was I pulled out the stem on them. So we'll put those on the sheet pan, and we'll put some asparagus. So asparagus is a newfound love in my house. It was only in the last few months that my kids started actually really loving to eat asparagus. And so now I make it all the time. It's a great way to get nutrients into their body and a green vegetable. So again, I'm gonna use my garlic oil that's already seasoned with herbs. Just gonna drizzle it on there. Get some all over the mushrooms. And the garlic salt. This is the simplest meal you could possibly make. Very few ingredients. I think 4 ingredients, 5 ingredients with the salt. It's super simple to make, no fuss. Then we'll take my tongs and just toss it up to make sure the seasoning gets all the way through all of the different asparagus pieces. And we'll toss those mushrooms. All right, so I've preheated my oven to 450 degrees. Now, again, we want this to be simple. I don't want to have to bake one pan and then the other pan. And so we have to find a cooking temperature that will work for both. So with the steak, I want the steak to get nice and brown. And so I want to cook it on a broil setting, but I don't want to broil my vegetables. So I'm going to go ahead and put the vegetables in a 450 degree oven and let those cook for about 5 minutes while I get the steak arranged on the pan. And then we're gonna bump the temperature in the oven up to broil, and we'll put the steaks on the top rack to cook. The veggies are already in the oven. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my steak onto the sheet pan. You could also throw all of this onto the grill. This would be spectacular on the grill, and normally I would cook this on the grill, but unfortunately there's a nor'easter coming through Massachusetts right now, and so we are staying inside tonight, and the broiler will do just as good of a job for us, no problem. This is also a meal that you could absolutely have your kids help you with in the kitchen. There's really no sharp objects involved. Seasoning is something great for kids to learn how to do, and it's a really simple prep method. I know that when I was first living on my own in an apartment after college, sheet pan meals were one of the first things that I started making for myself because it's really easy to make, it's really few ingredients, and it's no fuss. So a great thing to teach your kids how to do. All right, so the meat is all ready to go. I'm gonna wash up, turn up the oven to the broil setting, and we'll get those popped into the oven. All right, so in my pan here, I have 2 tablespoons of salted butter, and I have about a half a teaspoon of my garlic and herb oil. I'm just letting that get nice and warm. And I'm going to add into it, as soon as it's fully melted, half a cup of these gluten-free breadcrumbs. Now the idea is that we're going to toast them. We want them to get nice and toasty, and they're going to give this nice, delicious added crunch onto our veggies when they're done. So we're just going to cook these for a couple of minutes here. We're going to stir, 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 because we don't want them to burn. Right, so our breadcrumbs are all toasty. Now I'm going to take a lemon and add the zest of a lemon. This just gives it a really bright and fresh taste. I love lemon in everything. I would add it to every single dressing I make, every sauce. It's the perfect acidic addition to cooking. And so I'm just going to put some lemon zest in here for that extra flavor boost. We'll go ahead and stir those up. And the breadcrumbs are ready to go on top. Super, super simple. Now let's get the rest of the food out of the oven. All right, it was that simple from start to finish in 12 minutes. The veggies were in the oven for a total of 10 minutes, the meat about 8. So you can see it's got a beautiful browning on top, just like we like to have on our steak. Our veggies are soft, but they're not overcooked. There's still a little bit of crisp to them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and top my asparagus with the breadcrumbs, our lemony, garlicky breadcrumbs. I'm gonna start with just a little bit on them, but then let my family add more to their plates as they serve themselves. And voila, dinner is ready in less than half an hour.
Yeah, dinner's ready!